The California sun beat down mercilessly on the sprawling estate in Hancock Park, where 17-year-old Laila stood at the edge of the Olympic-sized swimming pool, her reflection rippling across the azure water. She had been avoiding her father for days, ever since the argument about her future that had left both of them raw and defensive. Muhammad Ali, the greatest boxer who ever lived, wanted his daughter to attend an Ivy League university. Laila had other plans, ones that would shock the world, but she wasn't ready to share them yet. If this story has already made you feel something, no matter how small, don't leave without giving back. Comment and tell me where you're watching this video from, and subscribe to the channel. The mansion felt unusually quiet that afternoon. Her father's entourage of assistants, managers, and friends had dispersed for the weekend, leaving only the occasional household staff moving silently through the corridors. Laila knew she couldn't avoid him forever in a house with 23 rooms, no matter how spacious it was. As she turned to head back inside, she noticed a shadow in the doorway. "Laila," her father's voice came, softer than usual, lacking its typical booming confidence. "Come sit with me for a minute." She hesitated, then nodded, following him to the garden pavilion overlooking the manicured grounds. Muhammad moved slowly these days, the Parkinson's disease gradually claiming his once lightning-fast reflexes. But his eyes, those remained as sharp and perceptive as ever. "Your mother tells me you've been avoiding me," he said, settling into a cushioned chair. "I've been busy," Laila replied, studying the intricate pattern of the marble floor beneath. Her feet, Muhammad Ali chuckled, a sound that still carried the warmth of his younger days. "You know, when I was just about your age, I made a decision that everyone told me was wrong. Everyone except one person." Laila looked up, curiosity piqued. Despite her determination to remain aloof, "I had won Olympic gold in Rome. Everyone expected me to follow a certain path. To be grateful, to be humble," he continued, his words measured and deliberate. "But I had my own mind. Always did." The gentle breeze carried the scent of jasmine from the garden, and for a moment, father and daughter sat in silence, the weight of unspoken words hanging between them. "Dad, Laila began, but Muhammad raised his hand, a gesture that still commanded respect. "Let me finish, baby. You know, they wanted me to be something I wasn't, to speak in ways that weren't my truth, to accept less than I deserved." His eyes, slightly clouded with age but still intense, fixed on hers. "And do you know what I learned?" Laila shook her head, suddenly feeling very young under her father's gaze. "I learned that there are two fights in life, the one in the ring, or whatever arena you choose, and the one inside your head. You have to win the second one first." The words hung in the air between them, simple yet profound. Laila felt something shift inside her chest, a recognition that transcended their current disagreement. "The fight in your head?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Muhammad nodded, his legendary hands, now trembling slightly, clasped together. "The one where you decide who you are. Not who I want you to be, not who your mother expects, not what the world thinks a daughter of Muhammad Ali should become." He leaned forward, his voice gaining strength. "But who you know yourself to be." Laila swallowed hard, fighting back unexpected tears. She'd been preparing for another argument, not this moment of connection that seemed to peer directly into her soul. "The world will always have opinions, Laila. They'll praise you, curse you, love you, hate you, sometimes all in the same day." A shadow of his famous smile crossed his face. "But at the end of that day, you have to live with yourself, and that's a long conversation if you don't respect the person you're talking to." The afternoon light cast long shadows across the pavilion. As Muhammad continued, "I'm not going to be here forever, baby. And when I'm gone, I don't want you living some life you chose to please me or anyone else. I want you living your life, the one that makes you wake up ready to fight for another day." 3 years had passed since that pivotal conversation with her father. Laila now stood in the private dressing room of her first professional boxing match, her hands wrapped tightly, her heart pounding against her ribs. The decision to follow in her father's footsteps had not been an easy one. Muhammad Ali had initially been against it, concerned about the brutality of the sport he knew all too well, but he had remembered his own words to her that day by the pool, and eventually he had supported her choice, even if it terrified him to see his daughter step into the ring. A knock at the door interrupted her thoughts. 5 minutes, Ms. Ali, called a production assistant. Thank you, Laila responded, taking a deep breath. The door opened again, and this time it was Regina, her childhood friend, who had become her personal assistant after graduating from business school. Regina was dressed immaculately in a Chanel suit, a diamond tennis bracelet glinting on her wrist, a gift from her tech entrepreneur father, who had recently sold his startup for $300 million. Your Rolex Cosmograph Daytona arrived, Regina said, holding out a sleek box. Your father wanted you to have it before the fight. Laila opened the box to find the exclusive timepiece, a specially commissioned piece worth over $100,000. On the back was engraved a simple message: win the fight in your head first. Love, Dad. Her eyes welled with tears as she closed the box, unable to wear it now, but clutching it like a talisman. Is he here? She asked. Regina nodded. Front row, with your mother, and Calvin Klein reserved the luxury box for your after-party, win or lose. Laila smiled, grateful for the support, but knowing that the next hour would be entirely up to her. No amount of wealth or famous connections could help her once she stepped between those ropes. As she made her way down the corridor toward the arena, Laila passed a wall of monitors showing the crowd. She caught a glimpse of her father in his custom-tailored Armani suit, sitting beside her mother. Despite his illness, he had insisted on being present for this moment. Behind them sat several celebrities, longtime friends of the Ali family, including a Hollywood power couple who had arrived in their private helicopter. The noise grew deafening as she approached the entrance to the arena. Thousands of fans, some supporters, some skeptics, waited to see if the daughter of the greatest could create her own legacy. The announcer's voice boomed over the speakers, introducing her opponent first. Laila closed her eyes, remembering her father's words from years ago. The fight in her head, that was the one she needed to win first, and in this corner, the announcer's voice swelled with excitement, making her professional debut, the daughter of the legendary Muhammad Ali, Laila Ali. The crowd erupted as she stepped forward, her silk robe emblazoned with her name in gold thread. Cameras flashed like lightning around the ring, capturing the historic moment. As she climbed through the ropes, Laila caught her father's eye in the front row. Muhammad gave her the slightest nod, a gesture that contained all the advice she would ever need. 9 victories, 9 knockouts. Laila Ali had taken the boxing world by storm, silencing critics who had dismissed her as a novelty act trading on her famous name. But tonight's fight would be different. Her opponent, Jackie Frazier-Lyde, daughter of Joe Frazier, her father's greatest rival, represented not just a physical challenge, but a historical one. Laila sat in the Bentley Continental as her driver navigated through New York City traffic toward Madison Square Garden. The same arena where her father had fought epic battles was now the site of her own historic bout, dubbed Ali Frazier 4 by the boxing media. The irony wasn't lost on her. Her phone buzzed with a message from her investment manager about a multi-million-dollar real estate opportunity in Miami, something that could wait until after tonight. Being the daughter of Muhammad Ali had opened doors, but her own success had built financial security. The 7-figure purse for tonight's fight would join her growing portfolio of investments. As the car pulled up to the VIP entrance, Laila, noticed the collection of luxury vehicles already lining the private parking area, Maseratis, Lamborghinis, and even a rare Bugatti Chiron belonging to the Saudi prince who had become an unexpected fan and supporter. Security whisked her through. Private corridors adorned with photographs of boxing legends, including multiple iconic images of her father. In the specialized preparation room, her team waited. Her trainer, cutman, nutritionist, and mental performance coach, all among the best in their fields, commanding salaries that reflected their expertise. "Your father's on the phone," her assistant said, handing her a smartphone in a diamond-encrusted case, a gift from a jewelry designer who had named a collection after her. "Dad?" Laila said, moving to a quiet corner. "Laila!" Mohammed's voice came through, weaker than in her youth, but still carrying that unmistakable cadence. "Remember what I told you?" She closed her eyes, instantly transported back to that garden pavilion years ago. "The fight in my head." "That's right," he confirmed. "Jackie's good, strong, like her daddy was, but she hasn't won the fight in her head yet. I can see it in her eyes." Laila nodded, though her father couldn't see her. "I understand. Our names, Ali, Fraser, they carry weight, history. But tonight isn't about our father's rivalry. It's about you writing your own story." After they said their goodbyes, Laila sat in meditation, visualizing the upcoming fight. Through the walls, she could hear the crowd growing louder as the preliminary bouts concluded. Soon she would walk out to face not just Jackie Fraser Lyde, but also the expectations of history. Her preparation was interrupted by another visitor, an unexpected one. The door opened to reveal a distinguished older man in an impeccably tailored suit. "Joe Fraser," Laila said, rising to her feet in respect, for her father's greatest rival. "Miss Ali," he nodded, his expression unreadable. "You fight a lot like him, you know." Laila wasn't sure how to respond. The complicated history between the Alis and Frasers had spanned decades, with periods of bitter animosity followed by reconciliation. "That combination you use, the 1-2 followed by that hook, that's all, Mohammed." There was something like grudging admiration in his voice. "My Jackie, she fights like me, comes forward, never stops." He stepped closer, lowering his voice. "Your daddy ever tell you what he said to me after Manila?" Laila shook her head. The thriller in Manila had been one of the most brutal fights in boxing history. He said it was the closest to death he'd ever been. Joe Fraser's eyes held hers steadily. "Tonight won't be that, but it'll test you both. Show what you're made of." With that cryptic statement, he turned to leave. At the door, he paused. "Oh, and your father sent me to tell you something else." Laila waited, curious. "He said to remind you that the hardest punch he ever took came from me." With a small smile that contained decades of complex emotions, Joe Fraser departed, leaving Laila alone with this final psychological challenge before the bell. The roar of 20,000 spectators filled Madison Square Garden as Laila Ali raised her gloved hands in victory. The judge's decision had been unanimous. She had outboxed, outmaneuvered, and ultimately outfought Jackie Fraser Lyde in what boxing journalists were already calling the greatest women's boxing match in history. As the ring announcer declared her the winner, Laila looked toward her father's seat. Muhammad Ali was on his feet, his body affected by Parkinson's, but his spirit undimmed, pride radiating from his face. Beside him stood Joe Fraser, the two old rivals united in this moment, watching their daughters make history. The post-fight. Her press conference was held in the garden's luxury penthouse suite, where champagne flowed freely and the city's elite mingled with boxing royalty. Laila, changed now into a designer gown, her championship belt displayed prominently on the table before her, addressed the media with the same eloquence her father had once shown. "Was it difficult following your father's footsteps?" a reporter, asked the question she'd been answering since her first professional fight. Laila smiled, looking at Muhammad, who sat in the front row. My father once told me something when I was just 17 years old, something that changed everything for me. He said there are two fights in life, the one in the ring and the one in your head, and you have to win the second one first. The cameras flashed as she continued. Tonight wasn't about being Muhammad Ali's daughter. It was about being Laila Ali, the person I decided to be when I won that fight in my head years ago. Later, as the crowd thinned and only close friends and family remained, Laila found herself alone with her father on the penthouse balcony overlooking the Manhattan skyline. The city lights glittered like the diamonds around her neck. A championship, gift from an anonymous admirer, later revealed to be a Middle Eastern royal family with long-time connections to her father. "You proud, Dad?" she asked. Though she already knew the answer, Muhammad nodded, his eyes shining in the moonlight. "Not because you won," he said slowly, each word deliberate and precious, "but because you fought your fight, your way, Laila." Smiled, taking his trembling hand in hers. "I remembered what you told me." "About the fight in your head?" he asked. "Yes, that day by the pool. It changed everything." Muhammad's expression grew thoughtful. "You know why I told you that?" Laila shook her head. "Because it was what I needed someone to tell me when I was young." He looked out at the city, perhaps seeing it as it had been decades ago, when he had shocked the world with his speed, skill, and unapologetic self-confidence. "My greatest victory wasn't against Foreman or Frazier or Liston. It was the day I decided to be Muhammad Ali, not who the world wanted me to be." The door to the balcony opened, and an assistant appeared. "Ms. Ali, the private jet is ready whenever you'd like to depart." Laila nodded her acknowledgement before turning back to her father. "I understand now," she said softly. "It was never really about boxing, was it?" Muhammad Ali smiled, that radiant, mischievous smile that had charmed the world. "Boxing is just fighting with rules. Life is fighting without them." He tapped his temple with a finger that once launched the fastest jabs in heavyweight history. "But if you win here first, the rest falls into place." A comfortable silence fell between them as they gazed out at the city. Finally, Muhammad spoke again, his voice carrying the weight of a lifetime of wisdom. "The world will forget records. They'll forget scores. They might even forget names someday." He turned to look directly at his daughter. "But they never forget how you made them feel, how you stood up, how you showed them something they didn't think was possible." Laila felt tears threatening again, but these were different from the nervous ones before the fight. These were tears of recognition, of understanding the full measure of her father's gift to her. Not his name, not his legacy, but the permission to define herself on her own terms. If you reached this point and felt every word, don't leave without subscribing. I tell these stories with my heart in my hand, to reach people like you, who feel, who get emotional, who live. If this truly touched you, give back, comment, subscribe. Come be part of this family with me until the next video.